Just want to start off before we get any questions about the attire. We really appreciate Casey coming up here. He's a little camera shy, so we're glad he's here. But obviously, like Coach Fickle says, it takes an army. So 3 of us, Director of Player Personnel, Pat Lambert, Director of Recruiting, Director of Scouting, Casey Rabach, and then we have 2 on-campus women, Taylor Ewald and Marissa Pavoni, who do a fantastic job. And we actually have 4 kind of recruiting personnel assistants, Jay Gerdner, Jared Thompson, Zach Zilm, and Grant Anderson, who do a really, really good job behind the scenes. So, like Coach said, it takes an army, and we're grateful to be able to with you guys.
Pat, what was the situation with Xavier like?
You just got to kind of remind them of the relationship piece, not get clouded up on schools kind of trying to push towards the end, but remind them why he chose this place in the first place and what's really important to him, and obviously falling back on the relationship with him, I think kind of helped us to get it done. So I'm saying those things.
Casey, you're I think you're the only alum on the staff anymore. And the class of 5 offensive linemen, what was it kind of like, trying to let them know the tradition here and kind of that process of educating those guys?
Well, I think the tradition here obviously sells itself. I think that's one of the coach talks about our brand, nationwide. I think obviously the offensive line, just the success we've had here year in, year out, I think really sells to that. And then I think you just got to kind of show them how they fit to that brand. How do you envision said individual to carry on that legacy, and kind of how what you expect of them and so on. So it was. I think obviously offensive line is, I guess, the easiest position to recruit, but I think the legacy of guys that have done it in the past here definitely helps with that recruiting process for sure.
I think pointing off of that, Emerson Mandel, I think down here said famous former Badger was you, so I think that obviously is pretty telling.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to ask you that, Casey. How much do you have the opportunity to answer questions if guys ask you about this place, especially given your history?
Oh, on a daily basis. I think that's one thing that I think that's one of the pluses I bring to this group of us, is just kind of the history that I've had at Wisconsin, obviously, and kind of the process that I went through, through the recruiting cycle and through the college years and stuff like that, and then on to the NFL, whatever. But it's a daily basis. It really is. I think us speaking on all of our personal experiences is a daily basis to these kids, because this is these, you got to remember, these are high school kids, and obviously mom and dad are there to help guide and direct and stuff like that, but it's new to them too. So I think anytime that we can speak of experiences of personal experiences or recruiting experiences from the past with other said individuals, I think that really pays huge dividends in how to help these kids through the process.
Who wants to take this one? But Luke made it clear that running back was a priority. Did you think 3 from the get-go, though, that was a possibility, or how'd that all play out?
Yes, we didn't really know at first, but we knew from the jump that was a priority, right? And we were going to recruit. That's the fortunate part of being at this place and the history and tradition here at Wisconsin. You're going to bring in the best back in the country. So you had an opportunity to go recruit the best of the best, and we did our due diligence and we evaluated, and we thought the 3 that we have are some of the best in the country. So no, we didn't have a particular number at first, and we kind of let it play itself out, especially through the summer. But we're extremely happy we finished all 3 of them.
What do you think you have in Dylan and Darian?
Yeah,
their skill set,
yeah,
how it fits.
Obviously different, but Dylan himself, just a guy, a leaner body, a little bit longer. Kid can run. He's got a wrestling background around as well, which was a +2 for Coach Fickle. And kid runs freaking hard. Then you look at Darian, and someone who brings a different speed, elite pass catcher out the backfield, great change of direction, just has some things you can't teach, point blank. And we're very fired up about the difference between the 2 of them, and we feel like both of them will be able to contribute and play off of each other well.
Max and Pat, you 2 obviously had success at Cincinnati. When you came to Wisconsin, was there any change in your approach, or how did you guys kind of take the, bigger platform into the recruiting platform?
I think it all started with understanding and knowing what Coach Fick's looking for at the end of the day, but also understand that this is the bigger stage now. So really being able to, recruit that type of player, reminding that, at the end of the day, it's about players and bringing those guys in. So, yeah.
Big thing for us, just like anyone in the country, as it should be, it's about people, it's about relationships.
Yeah.
So that factor hasn't changed much. So that was one of the things we felt like we brought, and the things we succeed with, is being able to relate and build strong relationships with these kids.
He talked about, when he was hired, he talked about 300 mile radius, I think.
Yeah.
Then he expanded that to 350.
Yeah.
I think 8 of 22 fall in that 350, which, I don't know, does that surprise you, that number is that? I guess he talked about how there's multiple states. Did that surprise you too, that there's a brand that's out there that maybe you didn't know right away?
I would say so.
Okay.
At Cincinnati, we have the 300-mile radius, and we probably anticipated a little bit more. But 365 days have gone by at least, and you're right. We were surprised at the brand that extends, especially East Coast and into Florida, and even places like Arizona and Texas. And things change, right? You learn, and a lot of it plays off the staff, of the relationships that the coaching staff has. And like he said, we have a staff that does a really, really good job in the East Coast.
Go ahead.
Just finding the right players at the end of the day that fit what we're looking for, and understand obviously length and athleticism at the end of the day, and shooting our shot. We're not going to shy away from anyone. So doing that.
When did you guys start to build that relationship with Ernest, and maybe that it started to feel a little more real? What stands out about what you're getting?
I think Ernest, I think that was kind of a slow process, only because of the school transfers and stuff like that. And but the first time you get on the phone with the kid, there's something really unique about him. He's got a great personality, really humble individual, but a guy that's also hungry and wants to play at a really high level. So I mean, I don't know if there was like ever a turning point or whatever in his recruiting. He's always a guy that we really liked and really wanted to go get, and then it just kind of fell into place for us. I think Coach Scruggs did a really great job of like building that relationship, because he's huge on relationships, and being able to show him how he envisions him, maturing through the process and developing into a type of player that we need here at Wisconsin.
I think it's continuous finding, like, you get kids on campus here, I think kids really realize how awesome this place is. So at the end of the day, we feel really good about, you get kids on campus here, that we have a really good shot to win. So getting them here really helped solidify that.
100%.
Let's go.
You guys didn't already know that.
Now you do.
Finish out
What
the
was
day
that?
off right.
What was that whole process like? I mean,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the guys left you,
Exactly.
but you didn't.
Yeah.
I understand you guys obviously didn't give up on them.
Yeah, I mean, we were very upset on June 20th, but we also understand it's a kid, right, making the biggest decision of his life. And I think he got pulled in different directions and had second thoughts, and I think as the season progressed, I began to understand I can accomplish everything in my backyard, right here at Wisconsin. You want to play for a top 10 program, you want to play for a top 10 academic institution, you want to play for the #1 college town in America, you want to play for the best coach in America. You can do all those things right here. You want to be developed and play on Sundays, you can do that in Wisconsin. So I think he began to understand as time went on, why leave, right? Why would I go far? So I know that was a big deal for him, and he was very excited about it, so we're excited that he's part of the class.
When you got 2 tight ends in the class, is it hard to sell one or the other, kind of knowing that there are multiple players coming in at the position?
I don't think so. Very different skill sets, right? Very high ceilings, both of them. Rob's someone who's unique, who hasn't played football for a long time, right? So he's got a lot of development and a really high ceiling athletically. And Grant's somebody who's coming in here, 6'6", 247, who's going to have a lot of opportunities early on just because of that. So no, because they knew each other early on and they were kind of a part of the whole process together.
You guys only signed one wide receiver out of the whole group, and I think Kyan was a guy that, it seemed like guys got on him and then his stock kind of rose after he committed. What you guys seen him early?
I think we did a good job projecting, identifying kind of what we were looking for in the off season leading into the senior year, and it paid off. Obviously, kind of Will Palmer's skill set, being able to find space in the open field, and extremely athletic and dynamic. So I think just really trusting our eval, and obviously want to do a great job in Wisconsin, Chicago, and obviously that paid off for us.
Coming down to these last few days, how many guys have you been like fending off other schools for, and how many guys are like, they're in, you feel good about it?
I don't think you can ever feel comfortable,
No,
honestly,
nobody,
in this.
okay.
You probably get a little paranoid. I mean, we do a good job in kind of monitoring and checking in on every situation, and I think every case was different. So a weird answer. You don't ever feel comfortable with being done until the paper comes in this morning. But
Yeah. It's the reality when you're recruiting some of the best talent in the country. Other schools are going to recruit them until the day they sign. So just a constant battle.
Basically between, you know, some of his physicality and versatility, obviously his fundamentals. How is Emerson Mandel a guy that can come in, you know, maybe make some waves early and obviously have some high potential?
Speaking about that guy that you had to fend off all season long, I'm really excited about Emerson. You know, obviously you see the size and the physique and all that stuff, and you're like, yeah, it obviously looks like an Wisconsin offensive lineman. But, you know, his mentality on the field is totally different than his mentality off the field. You know, he's just kind of a big, gentle giant when you're on the phone with him and whatnot. But when he gets on the field, that's something different. You know, he brings some physicality and some toughness and some ruthlessness that I'm really excited about. You know, there's a lot of guys I'm really excited about in this class, and he's one of them for sure.
Would you guys prefer an August or July signing day or something before December?
Yeah.
Is there a, I don't know what.
No, we don't have a big opinion like Coach Fickle, but we do think the earlier the better. Why not? The kids know where they want to go, and just get them here even sooner would be awesome.
Last year, defensive back, you guys lost a good amount of depth who entered the portal. You guys go for 4 players. Kind of what was the process in getting those 4 players, and where do you guys kind of project between cornerback and safety for those guys?
Right now, Raphael Dunn is an athlete, so he's going to come in here and grow, and we don't really know. We're not going to pigeonhole him on just being a safety, dollar, anything like that. We're going to get him in the weight room and on field and kind of let him naturally develop. But Jay Harper is probably the rawest out of the group, but I think he has a lot of intangibles to be a guy that could really, you know, make a difference out on the field. I think he's athletic, twitchy, has a lot of those tools, but the ball down there is a little different. So I would say Xavier, I would say just his length and size and athleticism, he had a really, really good senior year, obviously with some teams trying to come in and come after him late. But I would say, and then Emilio Gaggard, we're really fired up about as well. I think he's the most savviest. I think he'll be able to come in here and really help us just because he's played at a high level for a long time, and we're really excited about him. So, yeah.
Speaking of Emilio, given I've seen you jump in lakes and after guys commit.
Yeah.
What did you think of, you know?
His announcement?
His announcement was probably one of the more memorable ones. Did you guys have a heads up?
Dad wanted to make a splash, literally, and he had me look up because he had this in his mind if he wanted to get a Bucky costume and do it, and I was like, heck yeah, let's go. So we helped kind of situate it and visualize it and help him purchase that, and it came out pretty well when he jumped out to jump around and the Bucky popping out. I think it was fantastic. So.
What was it about length, just in general, for the whole roster? Because Coach Fickle mentioned it a bunch of times too. Like, why was it important for you guys to get taller and longer at a lot of these positions?
This is a big league. It's a Big Ten. It's a big league, and yet in order to compete at the highest level, go watch those 4 college football playoff teams, right? Big, long athletes everywhere, and there's something to be said about the ceiling of those kids, and you can develop them. And like a Christian Allegro, like a Thomas Heiberger, you know, they give you a lot of versatility. And you can go compete against the Ohio States of the world because you go throw athletes out there and develop them.
When you're recruiting these guys, can you kind of tell which ones might be able to help you early?
I mean, you can kind of tell kids who love ball naturally, it kind of clicks a little sooner. So being able to find out the kids that like it's really important to, and guys that love the game and that's where they tend to naturally. I mean, you can't really put a
Senior film. Their senior film is the biggest indicator. Like when you turn on Christian Allegro and Tucker Ashcraft senior film, you had a good idea these guys were going to come in and be some players that could see the field. So a lot of it's based off need, but seeing an upward trajectory from their sophomore to junior to senior year is an indicator for us as well.
Is there anybody that stands out that way in this group?
I mean, yeah, a couple.
It's hard to pinpoint just one.
I think Thomas Heiberger's one who had a really, really good senior season. 3 backs all played really, really well. Kyan Barry Johnson gives you some things off the senior film that he's going to have an opportunity early. So
And I think it's also like a need base too of your team, right? So I think that plays a factor to, I think there's some positions on the football field just in general that it's a little bit hard for young, individuals young people to come in and play, and, but I agree with you, who you kind of pinpointed there, but there's gonna be a surprise in camp. There definitely is, as much film as we watch and as much football as we've watched over the years, and you can never predict 100% for sure.
Another outside linebacker, Nelu Lafayette. I mean, how important was it to kind of get him, but also to continue the Hawaii to Madison pipeline that's kind of produced a lot of talent over the years?
Yeah, that was something Pat and I were kind of blown away with, that there was that poly pipeline here. And they're just tough kids, right, who fit in at Wisconsin. And Anelu's a twitched up kid who brings something that maybe we weren't great at this past year, and that's pass rush. And we're excited about him continuing that.
Do you guys get to sleep now, or is it on the 2025 full speed ahead, or?
The transfer portal window opens up here soon, so I hope you can completely take a break.
But I think all our wives and girlfriends are going to be really happy with, I don't know, when was the last time you saw your wife? Mine was Thanksgiving.
Last night. Yeah, but not very long. So,
Yeah.
But,
All right, you guys all
Thanks,
good?
guys.